The sun was setting over Victoria, casting a golden hue over the city's skyline. Jordan Carter stood at the edge of a university campus, clutching his diploma in mechanical engineering. The parchment felt heavy in his hands, not just from the weight of the paper, but from the weight of his dreams. He had graduated top of his class, a feat that had required countless sleepless nights, relentless determination, and an unyielding belief in his potential. Yet, as he gazed at the horizon, he couldn't shake the gnawing feeling of uncertainty. The real world was waiting, and it wasn't going to be as forgiving as the academic one. Jordan's first job interview was at Titan Industries, a leading manufacturing company known for its cutting-edge technology and competitive environment. He walked into the sleek, glass-walled building with a mix of excitement and trepidation. The receptionist, a middle-aged woman with a polite but distant smile, directed him to the conference room where the interview would take place. The panel consisted of 3 senior managers, Mr. Thompson, the production manager, Ms. Rodriguez, the HR director, and Mr. Bennett, the operations head. They greeted him with curt nods, their eyes scanning his resume with a critical gaze. "So, Jordan," Mr. Thompson began, leaning back in his chair, "you've got an impressive academic record. But what practical experience do you have?" Jordan felt a knot tighten in his stomach. "I've completed several internships during my studies, and I've worked on various projects that required hands-on application of engineering principles," he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. Ms. Rodriguez raised an eyebrow. "Internships are one thing, but we need someone who can hit the ground running. This is a high-pressure environment. We can't afford to babysit." The word stung, but Jordan forced a smile. "I'm a quick learner, and I'm confident that I can contribute to the team." Mr. Bennett sighed, exchanging a glance with his colleagues. "We'll be in touch," he said dismissively. Jordan left the building feeling deflated. The rejection email came a week later, citing his lack of experience as the primary reason. He applied to several other companies, but the response was always the same. No one was willing to take a chance on a fresh graduate, no matter how brilliant. Months passed, and Jordan's savings dwindled. He took on odd jobs to make ends meet, but his dream of working in the engineering field seemed to slip further away. Then, one day, he received a call from Titan Industries. They had an entry-level position open in the maintenance department. It wasn't the role he had hoped for, but it was a foot in the door. Jordan's first day at Titan was a whirlwind of introductions and orientations. The maintenance department was a stark contrast to the gleaming offices he had seen during his interview. The air was thick with the smell of oil and metal, and the constant hum of machinery filled the space. His colleagues were a mix of seasoned technicians and young apprentices, all too busy with their tasks to pay him much attention. It didn't take long for Jordan to realize that he was on his own. His supervisor, a gruff man named Greg, handed him a manual and told him to figure it out. The other technicians were either too busy or unwilling to help. Jordan spent his days struggling to understand the complex machinery, his nights poring over textbooks and online tutorials. He was determined to prove himself, but the lack of guidance was taking its toll. One evening, as Jordan was working late, he noticed an older man cleaning the floor. The man moved with a quiet efficiency, his eyes sharp and observant. He introduced himself as Mr. Samuel, the night janitor. "You're here late," Mr. Samuel remarked, his voice warm but laced with curiosity. Jordan sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Trying to get a handle on things. It's been challenging." Mr. Samuel nodded, his gaze lingering on the machinery Jordan was struggling with. "You're working on the CNC machine. Tricky piece of equipment if you don't know what you're doing." Jordan's eyes widened. "You know about this stuff?" Mr. Samuel chuckled softly. "I've been around the block a few times. Used to work in production management. Now, I just clean up the mess." Jordan felt a spark of hope. "Could you show me a few things?" Mr. Samuel hesitated, then glanced around to ensure they were alone. "All right, but this stays between us. I'm not supposed to interfere." Over the next few weeks, Mr. Samuel became Jordan's secret mentor. He taught him advanced industry methods like reliability-centered maintenance, RCM, and total productive maintenance, TPM. He explained the intricacies of the machinery, shared insights from his decades of experience, and encouraged Jordan to think critically and creatively. Jordan's confidence grew, and so did his reputation. He started making small but significant improvements to the production line, catching the attention of his colleagues and supervisors. But with recognition came jealousy. Greg and the other senior technicians began to view Jordan as a threat, and they weren't shy about expressing their resentment. "Think you're hot stuff, huh?" Greg sneered one day, cornering Jordan in the break room. "Just because you've got a fancy degree doesn't mean you know anything about real work." Jordan held his ground, his voice calm but firm. "I'm just trying to do my job. If that's a problem, maybe we should talk to HR." Greg's face reddened, but he backed off, muttering under his breath. The tension in the department escalated, and Jordan found himself facing increasing resistance. Tools went missing, reports were sabotaged, and he was often assigned the most difficult and thankless tasks. But he refused to be deterred. With Mr. Samuel's guidance, he continued to push forward, determined to prove his worth. Then came the day when management decided to test Jordan's mettle. They assigned him to a failing production line that had been running at a loss for years. The line was notorious for its inefficiency and constant breakdowns, and no one had been able to turn it around. The expectation was clear: Jordan would fail, and they would have a reason to let him go. Jordan knew he was being set up, but he also saw it as an opportunity. He spent days analyzing the line, identifying bottlenecks, and developing a plan. With Mr. Samuel's help, he introduced cutting-edge methods, optimized workflows, and implemented preventive maintenance strategies. Slowly but surely, the line began to improve. The turning point came when a new process engineer, Sarah, joined the team. She was young and ambitious, with a fresh perspective and a willingness to challenge the status quo. Jordan and Sarah quickly formed a partnership, combining their skills and knowledge to tackle the line's challenges. The improvements didn't go unnoticed. The production line's overall equipment effectiveness, OEE, began to climb, surpassing even the lines managed by senior managers. The factory buzzed with rumors about the young engineer who had turned around the failing line. But success came with a price. The senior managers, threatened by Jordan's growing reputation, intensified their efforts to undermine him. They spread rumors, questioned his methods, and even tried to sabotage his work. But Jordan remained steadfast, his resolve unshaken. The climax came when the regional manager for Europe, Mr. Anderson, visited the factory. He was a tall, imposing man with a reputation for being ruthless but fair. He had heard about the turnaround of the failing line and wanted to see it for himself. Jordan and Sarah were nervous but prepared. They walked Mr. Anderson through the line, explaining the changes they had made and the results they had achieved. Mr. Anderson listened intently, his expression unreadable. At the end of the tour, he turned to Jordan and said, "This is impressive work. You've done what many thought was impossible. How did you do it?" Jordan hesitated, then decided to be honest. "I had help," he admitted. "Mr. Samuel, the janitor, has been mentoring me. He's got decades of experience, and he's been teaching me advanced methods like RCM and TPM." Mr. Anderson's eyes widened in surprise. "Samuel? I remember him. He was one of the best production managers we ever had. Why is he working as a janitor?" Jordan explained Mr. Samuel's desire for a less stressful life, and how he had taken Jordan under his wing. Mr. Anderson nodded thoughtfully. "Bring him to my office. I want to talk to him." The meeting that followed was a turning point for both Jordan and Mr. Samuel. Mr. Anderson recognized their contributions and offered Jordan a promotion to technical manager for the continent. He also brought Mr. Samuel onto Jordan's team, finally giving him the recognition he deserved. As Jordan stood in his new office, looking out over the factory floor, he felt a sense of accomplishment and gratitude. He had faced discrimination, rejection, and sabotage, but he had persevered. And with the help of a humble janitor, he had proven that brilliance and determination could overcome even the greatest obstacles. The story of Jordan Carter and Mr. Samuel spread through the company, becoming a legend of mentorship, resilience, and triumph over adversity. And as Jordan looked to the future, he knew that this was just the beginning of his journey.